Everybody ready? So as soon as you're ready, you can start in Pranayama Shavasana. Are we rolling, Sheila?
We're all set.
Okay. All right, so everyone, settle yourself in Pranayama Shavasana, just simple setup, bolster, blanket, or a stack of blankets, and a blanket for your head. All right, and so with your legs bent, lie down. Take a moment with your legs bent to see that the trunk is even on the bolster, to see that the shoulders are descending away from the ears, wrapping around the sides of the bolster. Then lift the buttocks and extend the tailbone toward the feet. Now, keep your feet together as you extend the legs straight, and keep your feet together still with your legs straight, reaching through the heels, so that you have this long, narrow extension. And then when you relax your legs, keep your heels very close together today. Just maybe a little bit of air between the heels, but not much at all, so that you retain this sort of narrow position today. Even with the hands, reach down toward the feet alongside the legs, parallel with the legs, and then descend the elbows, and only widen your hands enough to get the elbows down and the hands relaxed. I'm coming out, you stay. All right. So then soft abdomen, Shavasana, be in Shavasana here. So the morning Shavasana first thing in the morning is different from Shavasana at the end of class, right? Or Shavasana in the evening. It's a very sattvic, clear, light Shavasana. Sometimes when we're very tired, our Shavasana is very tamasic, and we sometimes even fall asleep. But in the morning when we do Shavasana, the purpose is different. The purpose is to kind of clear the head. Even though the mind, you've been asleep, the mind is sometimes active in sleep. So sometimes we have quiet sleep, sometimes we have kind of agitated sleep, sometimes we have very heavy sleep. So this is sort of to shake off the heaviness of sleep, but also to quiet the mind if your sleep was agitating. So always with Shavasana, we are seeking that sattvic state. Quiet, clear, translucent, light, effortless. That very calm, quiet state is what we're seeking. So if you are finding that you are getting sleepy, you can every once in a while open your eyes slightly and use that sensory stimulation to keep the brain just gently alert. If you find that you are feeling agitated or jumpy, then take a few slow, soft breaths, concentrating on the exhale, and observe the breath so that you can quiet yourself and then return to normal abdominal breathing. So in Shavasana and preparation for Pranayama, the breath is always very soft through the nose to start. Abdominal breath, abdomen effortlessly rising and falling. You don't have to do anything with the breath. It'll just move in and out on its own. What you can do is bring your attention to the breath. That will enhance, and you'll be in beginning sort of your participatory relationship, your collaborative relationship with the breath. Thank God we don't have to do anything with the breath to stay alive, but we can employ conscious action with the breath to enhance the respiratory effect, to enhance the physiological effects of respiration. So just observe the abdomen rising and falling with the breath. So nothing moving, really, nothing moving on the outside except the abdomen. And it's just a gentle rise and a gentle fall. Gentle rise as you inhale, gentle fall as you exhale. Nothing strong, nothing aggressive. Now to begin the shift, the evolution into Ujjayi, today we're gonna work on Bahya Ujjayi, the exhales, and so start to assign a silent count to the breath. So just don't go for long, deep breaths right away, but just count the inhales and then count the exhales. So it might be a 3 count or 4 count inhale, a 3 or 4 count exhale. And at first, get the breath to be even. So whatever you count on the inhale, the exhale will be the same. Now, as you progress, as you continue with this breath awareness, it's natural for the breath to start to lengthen out, to slow down and soften even more. So then as the exhales become a little slower and softer, then the inhales will also become a little slower and softer. I find it helpful. You might find it helpful or you might find it distracting. It doesn't, you can go either way, but I find it helpful to have a ticking clock near my pranayama spot. It kind of helps me stay on track. And I have a ticking clock here at the studio. I don't know if you can hear it or not. So it's a simple tool, but I often find it helpful. If you do not, if you find it distracting, then that's fine, no problem. You can do as you wish in your own home. So now, start to make the exhales slower than the inhales. So at first you had an even breath, even Bahya Abhyantara, exhales and inhales. And now, can you make the exhales a little slower than the inhales? So start to stretch out the exhales a little bit at a time. Remember, we're never aggressive with the breath, just a little bit at a time. So now if you're doing a 3, 4, 5, 6 count, inhale, then the exhale's longer than that, and maybe twice as long. See if you can get the exhales to be twice as long. And so the way you do that is to make it very slow and soft and seep the breath out softly through the nose instead of gushing it out. So don't make the seepage so slow that it causes stress or strain. So for instance, if you're holding a balloon, you can control how fast the air is leaving the balloon. So as such, you can also control how slowly the air is leaving your lungs. You can use the external rotation of the arms, not in an active way, but just in a gently enhancing way to keep the chest lifted as you exhale. So if you give just a very subtle rotation of the upper arm bones outward, you'll feel the shoulder blades engage, and then that will help to maintain the lift of the rib cage as you slowly exhale. You'll also find that the abdomen, if you keep the abdomen pulled back as you exhale, you will be able to control the exhale, and while you keep the chest expanded, the chest box expanded as you exhale. Make sure that at the end of the exhale, you completely release. Otherwise, you won't really be able to get the air out. Okay, so now we will add a little kumbhaka, a little Bahya Kumbhaka at the end of the Ujjayi. So what that means, you're going to stay in that emptiness. So soft inhale, even slower, even softer, exhale, and then you stay in that emptiness for just a few seconds. How long do you stay? Only long enough to start to feel like the inkling of strain. Don't stay beyond your comfort zone, because then you'll have to gasp for air for the next breath, and that's not what we're after. We're after slow, continuous cycles of Bahya Ujjayi, and now adding a little bit of Kumbhaka, a little bit of breath holding at the end of the exhale. Not so long that you have to gasp for the next breath. And hopefully, see if you can cultivate a continuous Bahya Ujjayi Kumbhaka. So without taking resting breaths in between. If you need to take resting breaths in between, by all means do. But if you can cultivate these quiet, continuous cycles, then do that instead. You have to monitor what your capacity is and not to overdo. Do one more cycle of Bahya Ujjayi Kumbhaka. Then return to normal breathing. Return to normal breathing. Hopefully your breath is soft, gentle, easy, soft abdominal breath. We only do this chest breathing for short periods. And after you've done a number of cycles of your resting breath, then fold your hands in onto your trunk. Bend your legs. Roll off your bolster. And sit up. Okay, so now I'm sitting up on the bolster, all right? Swastikasana. So before you settle into your swastikasana, make all the usual adjustments, buttocks flesh back, and then have the knees up a little bit like this. Do you see how my knees are kind of close together, my feet wide apart? So this is to ensure that I get a kind of a narrow seat, a narrow box today, and then supporting the thighs, supporting the shins, knees, a little bit of the thighs, have a blanket, and then another blanket for your lap, okay? So we'll repeat that. We're gonna do Bahya, Ujjayi, Kumbhaka. You'll be able to get a little bit more lift, a little bit more expansion, a little bit more retention when you're upright, because now you have the support of the spine. Okay, so and the muscles of the back are active here, and of course the abdominal muscles, you have more access to them when you are seated. You'll be able to feel the breath more in the back body. Those are some of the reasons why we incorporate Bahya seated practice once the supine practice is established. Okay. So first, press the hands down, spread the chest open, roll the shoulders back, get very tall, get your maximum height first, then bring your head down into Jalandhara Bandha. Lifting the chest up to the chin. This is very strange. The smoke alarm is going off, and I've never heard it speak like that. And so anyway, I think everything is fine. Okay, bring your head down, Jalandhara Bandha, and then bring the back of the hand onto the blanket, lengthen the elbows down, roll the upper arm bone out. I'm coming out so I can see what's happening with you all. Okay. Good. So now from here, replace battery. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so now exhaling completely. Take a slow, soft inhale. I'll talk you through the first few cycles. Lifting the chest, spreading the chest open, and then slow, soft exhale. Slower, softer exhale than the inhale. Same breath pattern as before. And then stay at the bottom there. Stay at the bottom, the chest stays expanded. And when you're ready, take a resting breath. Take a resting breath or two. And let's repeat. Exhale completely. Take a slow, soft inhale. And then a slower, softer exhale. Can you double the length of the inhale? as you exhale. And when you've finished exhaling, then stay at the bottom there. Stay in that emptiness. Take a resting breath or two. Okay, and now continue on your own, at your own pace. And if you feel you don't need the resting breath in between, that's fine. You can do continuous cycles of Bahya, Ujjayi with Kumbhaka. But if there should be no gasping for air, there should be no air hunger. Well, you are creating a little bit of air hunger on a conscious level. The purpose of the Kumbhaka from a neurological perspective, it increases the resilience of the respiratory system. It enhances the capacity of the body to withstand stress without becoming activated. So we don't want to make you agitated, but the Kumbhaka, the breath control, the breath retention is to enhance and increase the body's capacity for carbon dioxide without creating more stress or agitation. It is stimulating. It's meant to be stimulating. Even though we're working with the exhales, because we're adding the retention, there is a level of little bit of stress that you're consciously adding to the breath. But it's not an intense amount of stress that's meant to unsettle you. It's a deliberate, conscious amount of stress in order to increase your capacity and increase your resilience within the physiological framework, within the respiratory system. So work with this at your own pace. Take resting breaths when you need to. Recognize when you're doing too much. Recognize when you could do a little bit more. This is when it's handy to have a ticking clock, because you might notice that you can retain, the retention can be, start off at 3 seconds and then maybe increase to 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Don't go for a maximum. We're not doing like a maximum breath hold like you're going diving. It's just a very mild breath hold and staying in that emptiness. This is also metaphorically making us more comfortable with that state of emptiness without feeling depleted. So you can be in that place of where you finished exhaling before you take the next inhale, but without stress, because you know that the next breath is going to be available for you. You know that you can continue breathing without any impediment. So metaphorically, this is a place of being comfortable with that state of temporary depletion, that state of temporary emptiness, without feeling anxious. And then finish this cycle. I'm going to have to unplug the smoke detector. Finish this cycle and then return to normal breathing. Bring your head up with your eyes closed. Stretch your legs straight. And then cross the other way. Sorry, I can't remove the battery until I use this ladder, which is the ladder that the iPad is on, that I'm recording on. So I'll have to do it after class. So switch the cross of your legs, get your supports in. And then lift the chest, bring your head down, Jalandhara Bandha. Bring your hands onto the blanket, coming back into your seated pranayama position. And now from here, let's just do six Bahya Abhyantara Ujjayi. So just 6 Ujjayi breaths, classic, on your own, okay? So exhale completely. And the reason for these 6 Ujjayi to finish off is to kind of like restore everything to a balanced, even, quiet state. And also to observe what was the effect of the Bahya Kumbhaka on your Ujjayi breath and on the state of your mind, on your physiological state. If you can do continuous, otherwise take resting breaths as needed. After you finish your 6 cycles, then keep your eyes closed and bring your head up. And sit quietly, normal breathing. And then when you're all done, lie down for your final Shavasana. Flat on your back if you're comfortable doing so. So there's something called the phrenic nerve, which is the nerve that runs from the brain to the diaphragm, and that is it controls the respiration. And the phrenic nerve starts at C3, C4. So when I learned that, then it makes sense. Jalandhara Bandha makes sense when we're doing the breath work to have the head down like that, because it's stimulating the phrenic nerve. And the breath operates automatically. You don't have to do anything with it, but it's also voluntary. It's a combination. It's kind of this wonderful, extraordinary combination of voluntary and autonomic. And so we can use the breath as a tool to enhance our mental, to have a role in our mental state, our emotional state, physiological state. And so the phrenic nerve that's stimulated in Jalandhara Bandha is activated, strengthened through this work, so that when you're resting, you should be even more at ease. The breath, very effortless, very light, very soft. Abdomen soft, abdomen rising and falling. right, so I will turn off. I will end the meeting now, and you can stay as long as you want.